Food prices in Jamaica are really high, but do you know why they keep rising? Two-thirds of the island's population live in food insecurity, and farming here doesn't carry as much money or status as it does in other countries. However, we have the climate and the farming space to do so, so why is that? I spoke to two farmers on March 26 to get some insight and spread some useful information. My mission is to start from the ground up and help educate farmers nationwide on their opportunities to grow financially, take part in sustainable farming, help get our country to a solid state of self-production, lessening our imports and building agriculture's contribution to our GDP, and provide jobs as the agricultural industry transforms from the underdog to a front-runner in our country's economy. Here are my findings.
The Jamaican government, they don't look out for farming.
Yeah.
America farm half a year. Jamaica can farm for the whole complete year. And yet still we are import food.
Exactly.
You can't understand
That's
that.
a big problem because
You can't understand that. That's one of the biggest things we are trying to understand. I don't think them about farming.
right now agriculture is only contributing 9% to our GDP and it could be contributing more.
That's not good.
Yeah.
That's not good. That's not good.
Do you think that us importing food affects the prices of food?
Yeah.
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 Why?
Because what happens is that when you import food, you don't have food enough in Jamaica's resource.
Yeah.
So you have
We have to
to
hike up the prices.
Exactly.
So it's more expensive.
Demand
Yeah.
is bigger than the supply. So what we have to do?
You have to respect the rules of demand and supply and hike up the prices. Do you think the government invests enough into agriculture?
More, they want the more.
So I have some pictures, but they're all more sustainable ways of farming that produce more. Yeah. So like with just water or aeroponic towers, and they produce more, less space, after initial investment, less expensive. So there's a bunch of different benefits to going into that type of farming rather than traditional ingrown farming. Do you think if the government were to invest in those type of farming, more people would be open to it or more people would be doing it?
Yeah. Because it would be much easier and less work.
Would you think about going into like strawberry farming?
The truth is, I've never seen farm.
In 2022,
Yeah.
it was recorded that strawberry farmers with 3 or more strawberry houses selling to hotels earned approximately $11 million per year. Instead of importing to feed the guests, they would just use local farmers to supply, because the agricultural business in regards to supplying tourism is a $67 billion business. But the problem is there's not enough people connecting with the tourism industry to supply it. So we don't have enough local farmers.
Hold on. How many people get that chance?
Alright. Do you know about the agricultural linkages exchange imposed by the agricultural ministry to connect local farmers to the tourism industry? But what I found, because I've interviewed someone before, is that not a lot of people know about it. Write it down or remember it in your head, because you can search it up and connect yourself with the tourism industry, because the government speaks a lot about not wanting to have to import, because when we shop within ourselves, we increase our GDP, and it's good for the country, good for the farmers, and good for the customers. Do you think if the government invested more in agriculture and more citizens were aware of the importance of shopping locally, that agriculture could be a larger, more economically effective sector?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. A whole lot. I think it would be much better. Things would be much cheaper. More.
So if the government was putting more money into the sector to open up, like, you see how the farms overseas stay, you have a lot of big machinery and you have a lot of employees. Do you think Jamaica could get to that point if the government prioritized it?
Yeah.
Yep. Do you think the government invests enough into agriculture?
No.
Do you know what hydroponics and aquaculture and vertical farming is?
I think that has to do with a soil-less method of farming.
Yes,
where persons would use
water. So I have an example here.
Right.
And some benefits of it are reduced pest and disease problems, larger yield per square foot.
Yeah, cleaner
and
fruits,
it's
healthy
better.
fruits.
Yeah, so would you ever consider those forms of farming your crops?
If I have the resources, yes, because different method of farming is good. Different techniques is good. But to actually practice certain level of farming, you have to do in-depth researches, invest and all of that.
Do you think if the government decided to invest in this form of sustainable agriculture, that Jamaica's agricultural system would work a lot better?
Yes, it would work a lot better. Yes, you would have less expense in practicing that type of farming. Insects and pests and diseases.
So you won't have the economic struggles of dealing with those things?
No.
So you think it would be a good move for the government to invest some money into ensuring farmers can access those types of sustainable farming?
In fact,
I actually should ask if you do. Do you farm strawberries?
No.
Would you consider farming them?
Probably in the future, but not now.
So in 2022, it was recorded that strawberry farmers in Jamaica with 3 or more strawberry housings selling to hotels earned approximately $11 million annually. So there is a market, however, it's a tourism industry.
Okay, mostly export.
No, the hotels.
Okay.
So there's demand there, but there's not enough supply. So unfortunately, we have to import because a lot of farmers don't know that there's huge demand for it.
Okay.
You know about the agricultural linkages exchange project?
No.
It's a tourism ministry project that connects farmers and buyers through the agri-linkages exchange project. So, like, you wouldn't know that there's a demand for strawberries until you're a part of it. So, it's something you can research and you would be able to supply your goods directly to the hotel industry. And there's a much larger demand because unfortunately you have to import a lot to keep up with those demands. You just keep up with that supply and you're having your customers at your fingertips essentially. So
sounds good. Okay.
And my last question for today is, do you think if the government invested more in agriculture and more citizens were aware of the importance of shopping locally, that agriculture would be a larger, more economically effective sector for the country?
Yes, I do. I do believe it. Yeah.
I agree. My last question, which is just, off the top of my head, do you think if Jamaican farmers were given the proper, invested in enough by the government, do you think that they would be able to keep up with the supply?
Yes, they would be able to do.
For both citizens and the tourism industry?
Yeah, in everything you do, resources is our number one priority. If we are lacking resources, then we won't get the result, we won't see where we are going. So once resources are introduced to us at an affordable rate, along with shareholders, partners in business, then building, a team would be much effective and much, benefit.
Okay, and you
both
think
local and international.
Agriculture, so overseas, agriculture is more of a refined industry. There's large farms, large equipment, and
supplies.
Do you think Jamaica could get to that point in agriculture if the government prioritizes it?
Everything is possible here.
When Jamaica discovered bauxite, we were one of the leading Caribbean countries in economic development. It's time for us to discover our power in agriculture. And after speaking to 2 farmers, which I won't deny that they don't speak for every farmer in Jamaica, I do believe that the feedback would be the very same if I spoke to 15 more. That the government should invest more in agriculture, that the agricultural industry could be doing way more to contribute to our country's economy. It could be providing way more jobs, proper jobs, well-paying jobs. Our farming practices could be sustainable and cost-effective. And given the right resources, we wouldn't have to import. We wouldn't have to import to keep up with the tourism industry, and we wouldn't have to import to keep up with our country's demands if these farmers were given the right resources. I must admit, I'm not entirely sure yet what steps to take to achieve this dream. But I do know that education and spreading knowledge is the first step. Please shop locally, support local farmers. It's food, and food is fuel, food is life, and food, I believe, is the key to our economic success. Thanks for listening.